What's up, guys? Welcome to another YouTube video. So yesterday Blizzard came with a bunch of changes on the PTR, including a lot of new profession stuff. So I thought now is the time to take a look and take a look at the changes and share them with you and see if we can start preparing in any way, shape, or form for what's coming on the PTR, because there are some exciting things that's new in this current build. Of course, it's still a work in progress, so we won't know anything yet, or at least we won't know everything yet. But we will be we'll be following along as the news come out and share them with you guys. So this is gonna be exciting. I think right now I'm getting quite optimistic about 9.1. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. So, the most important or the most interesting change by far, which affects a lot of crafting professions, is the new Crafter's Mark. And as you'll see, the new Crafter's Mark 3, which you currently get from the new Death's Advance reputation, which is in the new Korthia zone in the Maw. It has been updated, and it will now set the item level to item level 200. And this is huge. This is where it should have been from the start. Item level 200 is going to be similar to 170 in sort of the grand scheme of gearing in patch 9.1. So this was really good. All of the professions that can craft Crafters Mark 2 can get Crafters Mark 3. And currently, of course, the costs are placeholder. As you'll see on this one, it's just one of each. But we do know that it'll probably use the same materials. This is just a leatherworking one. But you get these for all of them. We don't know the costs yet since it's all placeholder, so there's no point in really delving into that part at all. Interestingly enough, the Crafter's Mark for leatherworking does not require heavy callosides, just normal callosides, which is possibly making it cheaper than the Crafter's Mark 2. So maybe they learned a little bit from their mistake there, but we shall see. Now, the other thing, in the earlier build of the PTR, there was a prestigious Crafter's Mark. This has now been updated to the Crafter's Mark of the Chained Isle. And this is also for the major, at least for all the armor crafting professions. And this one sets the item level to 230, but you can only equip one of these item level 230 crafted items. Obviously, this is also very good. This is a nice little buff to the usefulness of professions. Now, we don't know where this recipe is coming from yet. There's no information here. I haven't seen it on the vendor. But presumably it's going to be related to patch 9.1 content, so I'd guess the Death's Advanced reputation, or maybe some other part of the 9.1. Again, this is going to be very good. The only really sad part is that both of the Crafter's Mark are still only usable on armor pieces. You still cannot craft useful weapons with them. Which is what I would have really wanted. Why can't we craft weapons, Blizzard? Please, let us craft max level weapons for catch-up gearing. It's such an important part of the gear set for most players. It's by far the most important slot. Like, even if it's just item level 200, please consider letting us apply Crafter's Mark to the weapons, or just add some new weapon recipes. They don't, so we can use them. That I would have really liked. Now, interestingly, the Crafter's Marks, the Chained Isle Crafter's Marks, they all require the enchanted materials that you only currently use for base legendaries. So that's going to create another market for them, and might, relative to the price of just normal heavy callus hides or lightless silk, it might make the enchanted version a little bit more expensive. Of course, as with the Crafter's Mark 3, the costs are pure placeholder. It's just one of each. I doubt it's going to stay this way, so we will have to see how expensive these are going to be. But with enchanted heavy callus hide and heavy callus hide for leatherworking, for instance, this is definitely going to increase the cost. And while we do get flying eventually in 9.1, and that's going to speed up material farming quite a bit, it's not going to speed up skinning particularly. Because skinning is based on killing mobs, usually in the same spot. Flying does not matter for that at all. So we could see another heavy callus hide expense bonanza But that'll also obviously depend on class balance, where a lot of leather and mail classes were incredibly popular during the first weeks of 9.0. So we shall see, but I really like these crafters marks of the chain dial. I think they will be very profitable. And I think that unlocking these early on should be a large priority for gold makers looking to make money in the new patch. This is definitely something that will be fantastic, essentially. So now that I've got the crafters marks out of the way, I thought I want to just go through all of the other professions one by one, and show you whether or not there's some new stuff. So leatherworking is the first one we'll take a look at. So what we get here, we get the crafter's mark, which requires enchanted heavy callosides and heavy callosides. We don't know the full quantities. This is the 231. So this might be a little bit on the expensive side, and you may want to prioritize pairing leatherworking with a cheaper profession, but it all depends on the numbers. Also crafter's mark 3, which does not require a heavy calloside, which might make this one actually pretty good for leatherworkers. But once again, until we know the final cost, it's not gonna tell us anything. And then you also have 3 new toys. The elusive pet treat is bind on pickup, so this is not going to matter for gold making at all. The other 2 are both just require a little bit of pallid bones. This one also takes some penumbra thread from the vendor, the pallid bone flute, whereas the pallid oracle bones only take 14 pallid bones. Pallid bone is just a byproduct. It's a super cheap material, and these are toys, so they're not going to sell super fast. So overall, I don't really expect these 2 recipes to move the needle gold making wise. They are going to be niche things. It might be worth to keep them on the auction house, but they're never going to make you a lot of gold because they're too cheap and they're toys. So there's just not enough demand. Vestige of Origins is going to be more interesting, but until we actually get these recipes implemented on the PTR and we can actually test how it works, there's really nothing to say about base legendaries. So for leatherworking, the way you're going to be making money in 9.1 is the same way you do right now. You craft base legendaries, you can craft the Desolate armor kits and the drums potentially, and you're going to craft the Crafter's Mark 3 and chain dialed Crafter's Mark upgraded armor, which is both going to be looking like they're going to be selling really well. So that's sort of it for leatherworking. Now for tailoring. Tailoring gets very little new, of course. Tailoring gets the crafter's marks and the vestige of origins. And they get 1 new recipe, the shrouded hand towel. So this one is a consumable item that cleans off blood, slime, dust, anything really, with a 10-second cooldown. So this is like, based on the description text, this makes me believe it's a way to remove debuffs. It's the same cooldown as a dispel. It's either that, if that is the case, then that will be very useful. I imagine a lot of tanks in M+, for instance, will be running around with this one if that's what it's used for. The alternative is that it's used in some kind of achievement or secret or something like that, where you have to remove a specific blood, slime, or dust debuff. But we could see that this is just for M+, or is used to remove actual debuffs. And if that's the case, then I think these are going to sell really well, because everyone's going to want to have a stack of these for M+. Because there are a lot of annoying debuffs that you would really, really love to clean off. Of course, I haven't crafted any. I don't have a tailor on my main account, so I haven't leveled it. And I'm not sure if you get these from the trainer or what, so we won't be able to test it out. They are currently not available from the trainer, the recipe, so we don't know exactly where you'll get it or how it works, but it could be quite interesting. So we shall see, but overall, we don't know how this is going to affect tailoring. I do think that the Crafter's Mark gear is going to be, as well as base legendaries, is going to be where you make your money with tailoring in 9.1. Next up, blacksmithing. Blacksmithing, as you can see, we don't get anything new. It's just the new Crafter's Mark and Vestige of Origins. Interestingly enough, Blacksmithing Crafter's Mark of the Chained Isle does not use a enchanted lithium bar, just a lithium ore. So I'm not sure if that's an oversight or if that's intended. but we will see. This does mean that blacksmithing is gonna be the same as it was before. We're just gonna be selling tons of shadow steel stuff upgraded with the new crafter's mark, which is really good. We're gonna sell legendaries upgraded with the various vestiges of origins, and well, we'll see how this is gonna work. Presumably, I have to add unlock something to add the optional reagents. Sadly, for the weapons, you can only apply crafter's mark once. So they're still gonna be effectively useless. But it is what it is. We will still be making a lot of money with blacksmithing because it's still really good. I mean, legendaries are not going anywhere, so they will remain the #1 way to make gold. If we take our look towards Jewelcrafting gets some new recipes. Of course, you get crafter's marks, and it looks like they only require gems. Both of them currently. That's the only materials required, which is interesting. Which does mean that prospecting for essences is gonna be very good because you'll be able to move a lot of gems through crafter's mark gear. I do this currently on live. I've written a blog post about it. It's so good, and that's gonna remain very good in 9.1. And then you also get 2 new consumables, the statues, the stone statues. So these are, you place them on the ground and it'll heal you for a short time before its power fades. So once again, an item that potentially has utility in PvE, in Mythic Plus or raids. It could be a useful item. It all depends on how strong it is and how it works. Maybe you stack them. These might be like mandatory high-end M+ or raiding consumables, or they might just be very useless. As with the other new items, many of them we can't craft them yet, as far as I can tell. They're not available from the trainers, so we'll just have to guess. But this could be something that will drive up the price of shaded stone, because they do require quite a few shaded stones. It's 5 of each. Or it could be something that's like a complete nothing burger, like the explosives for engineering, for instance. So we'll just have to see if this is gonna be good or not. It will be very interesting, but as of right now, we don't know. But we do know that this crafter's marks from Jewelcrafting are looking very juicy, just like they are on live. This is looking like a great profession to craft crafter's marks. Just based on the types of materials needed, but of course this is very subject to change. So we'll have to see as they give us more information, essentially. So next up on the list we have Alchemy, and here, as you can see, we also get crafter's marks from Alchemy. This could be quite cheap depending on how much Death Blossom and Nightshade you have. So if you have Alchemy paired with one of the armor professions, it could be good. Of course, you can't use the crafter's marks you craft with Alchemy on any of the Alchemy recipes. So I doubt any of you will have this paired with another armor profession. I know I don't, because it's not optimal in Shadowlands at all. You also have a new transmute where you turn stones into ore. Since you can't craft this yet, we don't really know how good it's going to be or not. But it could be worth it over the Shadestone, but I doubt it. Most likely the Shadestone will remain the premier Shadowlands transmute, especially with a new raid coming out and more focus on consumables again. In addition to this, we have these new burst items that are consumables, where you get 5 charges and you can apply a burst of color to another player. So once again, something we don't. This is gonna be a for fun item. You might sell a couple. This is not gonna be a major gold maker, but you could see people, some people will be bringing around some of these to throw colors at their friends every once in a while. The costs are generally quite low. You're looking at like 2 ground of a specific herb. So this is going to be something where you can craft a stack and keep them in the auction house, and you'll maybe get some sales, but it's not gonna make you rich in any sense of the word. It's just going to be something you can do at the side. Outside of that, with Alchemy, it's just going to be more of the same. You're going to sell flasks and potions. And you'll probably sell a lot of them because, let's face it, it's a new raid and new M+ season. For engineering, there's yet again nothing new. Just 2 crafters marks. Everything else is the same as currently, which means that engineering is going to remain relegated to the scrap heap of gold making professions. It will remain really bad. It is currently really bad and for gold making, and that will remain the case. So we'll see if that. I don't think that's ever going to change in Shadowlands. There's still just going to be the wormhole generator, which is the only recipe that people are interested in buying from you. Sadly, but it is what it is. Enchanting, sadly for enchanters, or positively maybe, they don't get anything. They get a new toy that's bind on pickup, so you can't sell it on the auction house. It would not sell for a lot. It's like 2 sold as 2 sacred shards, so that's completely pointless. The only thing we might see for enchanting is that these 2 items that are currently used in the prestigious crafters mark for leatherworking and tailoring might see an uptick in demand. Weirdly enough, blacksmithing not using the enchanted lithium bar, so hard to say if that's going to be relevant. Outside of that, there's no new recipes with enchanting, so it's going to be very similar to how it plays currently as far as gold making goes. For Inscription, it's the same story. You're essentially just going to get the new Vantis rune for the new raid, and then there's nothing new that's not currently in the game. There's also a contract, of course, for the new reputation, which might be useful. Traditionally, at least in BFA, the contracts for the current expansion, the new current expansion reputations, have usually sold for a lot of gold. So getting that Death's Advance reputation contract early on, if you can farm the maximum amount of rep on your scribe, that is going to be a way you can make some nice gold, as people will definitely want to get that. Both for crafting purposes, because it seems like recipes will be locked behind the Death's Advance reputation, as well as for any other reason you might have to want to max out rep. There's probably going to be some power implications, which there usually is. So it'll be exciting to see how that plays out. But definitely the contract and the Vantis rune is going to be the major ways to make money with Inscription in 9.1. So that's it for what's coming in 9.1 with professions. Overall, we can't say enough yet to know what's going to be the best approach, because all of the recipe costs are still just placeholder values. But overall, this does seem to make armor crafting slightly better than it was in 9.0. And I made a lot of gold with Crafters Mark II gear, but with the addition of the 230 Crafters Mark gear as well, that's definitely gonna give even larger profits to that market, and getting that recipe early on is gonna be important. Of course, for the 230 gear, you should only target the high stat slots. People are not gonna bother buying 230 bracers unless they're whatever absolutely missing. You'll most likely by far sell most of the helmet, the leggings, and the chest piece. But just keeping one of each on the auction house at least is not a bad idea. But just be aware that you should expect, since you can only equip one, you're going to prioritize getting as much value out of that as you can, which is going to mean the big fat juicy loads of stat slots. Outside of that, nothing is particularly exciting until we know how base legendaries are going to work. Which we will eventually, but right now, of course, nothing new on that. I don't have the recipe yet. I haven't gone through the entire Korthia campaign to figure out if you can get it. You can currently buy the Crafter's Marks from the profession vendor. You cannot buy Vestige of Origins. And in this build, they've actually locked the optional reagent slot on legendaries, so you can't even click it. On the last build, you could click it and you'd get up a Vestige of Origins as one of the options, and then a placeholder value. So there might be a second upgrade material or upgrade item. We don't know. And until we do, there's no point in trying to speculate about how it's going to look and how you can prepare. I do think just Just from what we've seen so far, professions are going to be pretty good. At least the armor ones. Some of the others are left completely in the dust, and for a lot of the other new recipes, the consumable stuff, until we've tested them out and seen what they can do out in the world, or specifically, more importantly, in dungeons and raids, we won't know until then if they will be strong sellers or just like a vanity item that does not matter. But yeah, I think these changes are pretty good. They're making professions slightly more useful in endgame gearing compared to what it was in 9.0, which is a great change. And hopefully, the only thing that's missing, Blizzard, if you're watching this video, I know they're not, but let us upgrade weapons using crafters marks. Why is this the first expansion in a long time where we cannot craft catch-up weapons? I don't know. That's the only thing that annoys me. Let us craft catch-up weapons. Let players get easy access to item level 200 weapons. Of course, if they did, then everyone would spend their 230 crafters mark on weapons, which might be why they don't do it, but that's beside the point. Either way, it looks like we're going to be making money in 9.1 as well. So I'll let you know if once there are further changes, then we'll take a look at them and just keep following along with the news. And hopefully you enjoyed this little breakdown of what was new in the latest build. And we'll be there on the next one. So thanks for watching. Leave a like or a comment down below if you've seen something that I've missed. I've not spent that much time on the PTR. So it really helps us out, and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well if you like these videos and want me to keep them coming. So yeah, goodbye guys.